And so AOI leaders and Pathfinder directors have to work together because millennials are off the scene. The generation Alpha today is the generation that is staying and making a difference. I'm not focusing on millennials anymore. Millennials go, get children, and come back. Generation Alpha is growing up, not wanting children, but want your jobs and your position. So you see the generation paradigm shift that we are in, and that requires us to have some training together. And so tonight we have asked a general,
Yes.
a veteran in church administration, who has grown to be an adopted grandfather and one that we have called upon on numerous occasions, too many to mention. He is the longest serving administrator within Inter-American Division at the level of the conference in the department that he has served faithfully, and that is the Treasury Department. And his department at one point was also in charge of Secretariat to some extent, and he also has great deal of administrative knowledge, especially when it comes to local church administration, church board procedures, protocols, fundraising policies, etc. So tonight he will talk about church board etiquette, how you conduct yourself on the church board, what programs need to be presented, the way it needs to be presented, the process of presenting it, because we believe that God's church is a church of order, and we do it in our corporate business. We got to do better when we talk about God's business. I speak of none other than Pastor C. Melvin Lewis. Please give him a round of applause as he comes, the past immediate treasurer of the South Bahamas Conference, treasurer emeritus of the South Bahamas Conference of Seventh-day Adventists. Please come. Give him a big round of applause if you will. And he will show you and let you know how he will relate his presentation. This space right there.
Thank
That
you.
chair says me.
Sorry? Oh. Thank you very much, Pastor Franklin. And happy Sabbath to all. Good to see all of you. Some of you I haven't seen in a little while. But it's good to see change names and all that. So tonight, we're going to talk about church board etiquette. And not just the church board, but any committee that we may sit on, any board that we sit on, or chair. Because some of you, I'm sure, you chair some committees. Let me just say that this is the book that governs the local church, the church manual. In addition to this, the pastor has some other documents. Some of you who sit on the conference executive committee, you would know about the blue book. The blue book gives some guidance as to how we conduct business. The pastor also have the pastor's manual. In addition to the pastor's manual, there's the pastor's handbook. There's a lot of stuff. So members would want to quote this, but there are other stuff. In addition to those books, there's the pastor himself. And the pastor attends meetings, and he travels, and he chairs boards and committees and all of that. And so during the process of time, he gets information. And so many times on the church board, the pastor will say something that is not in here, and the members would want to challenge. Let me just tell you something about this manual and what happens in between. This one was revised in 2015. And the new one will come out at this general conference session. Okay, so they go for a 5-year period. But here's what happens. During the course of those 5 years, the General Conference Committee will meet and they will discuss things, and they will vote and approve some things that obviously would not be in here. But the information comes down through, you know the channel. We know the channel, right?
Yeah.
What's the channel? Okay. Just in case some of us is a bit shy and we didn't know. Yes, it's the General Conference and the division. Now the division is a part of the General Conference, you know, and so the Inter-American Division is the General Conference in Inter-America, okay, because it's so large, it's broken up into segments. So General Conference, Washington, our division, where? Miami. Then our union name. Where? Right here. No, not right. Can't be right here. Gladstone Road, and then the conference. Where? Now it's here. And then the churches. So that is the process. So when the General Conference votes something that will be included in this in the next 5 years, once it is voted, it is in effect immediately. There is no waiting for the next 5 years for it to be written in here. It is, once it is voted, that's it. And many times, the members at the church level is not aware of it. And the pastor is aware of it, and so he is quoting it and he wants to enact it. And the members on the board wants to give him trouble simply because they don't know and they don't think. So next time you want to give the pastor trouble because he says something that you don't know about or you disagree, you know, check it out first to see whether that is a new policy that has not been written in the book as yet, okay? Because, you know, it's going to make us look bad to us, the members, to know that, yeah, boy, we were fighting the pastor on that, and then the new book comes out, lo and behold, it is there. Okay, so from time to time, all of us will sit on a committee. And let me just say, because we have no one from the Haitian churches here, right? Most unfortunate. Most unfortunate. Most unfortunate.
They get the video.
Hmm?
They get the video.
Well, you know, those from the Haitian community need to be in meetings like this.
Amen.
Because they need it.
Yeah.
You know, different culture, they need to understand what is happening in this part. So this is for you all. Good. Let's move on now. So we all will serve on committee from time to time. And many of us would have chaired certain committees. And what is the purpose? And we can make this interactive. What is the purpose of a committee or a board or a group of people coming together to enact business? Yes, Miss? To decide, to make decisions, to decide to make decisions. Okay. Yeah, committees do that. So is the committee then responsible for carrying out the action?
Certain part.
To a certain part?
Yeah.
Yeah, which part is that certain part?
And
To
they,
report it to the church.
okay. When the committee make the decision as a body, then they it was something that they really want to carry away. Then they have to okay then. But if there's something they have to really get the chief at large in there, they go to the chief at large to a business meeting.
So let me ask the question then. So the committee then enacts an action or passes an action, and they carry it out or they make sure that someone else, another entity, carries the action out.
To make sure that another entity carries
Another
the-
entity.
I did.
Department
Yes.
responsible.
So the
Area
committee
responsible.
sits in a room like this,
Mhm.
and they make plans and all of that, and then they say to John Brown, who very well may be a member of the committee also, eh? This is what needs to be done. Okay, so the committee will not necessarily carry out.
They may not. Say that again.
Welcome, welcome. You all heard me robbing you all, right? You didn't? Well, you're wise. Delighted to have you. Delighted to have you. Yeah, so the committee in a room like this makes an action, and once that is voted, then someone else is responsible for ensuring that that action carries out. Okay, so the committee has a responsibility to make decisions and pass it on. Now, so how do they ensure? Because we can vote it tonight, we can call this the Pathfinder Council. This is the Pathfinder Council.
No.
The AY Council? No. Well, for all intents and purposes, this is the AY Council, okay? This is the AY Council. And so we say that we want each AY society to have a youth crusade on March the 31st.
That's that wrong.
Okay. We vote that. This is the governing body.
Yeah.
We can do that.
We can do that.
Yes, okay.
Then you have to come to me and say, we would like for you to. Because you obey us.
No, well, you see, it doesn't work that way. Because no one in the church is paid. Okay, no one in the church is paid. So we just assume, and we have to assume some things here. We just assume that we are all nice Christian Seventh-day Adventists who have volunteered to do a job, and because we have volunteered to do that job, we will do the job. Okay, and reality, and if we find that we can't do that job, then we must do the honorable thing. But you know, it bothers me, and you caused me to go off a little bit, but I have to say when people have been elected and they have accepted to do the job, and then they're going to turn around and say, y'all ain't paying me for this, you know. That is wrong. Never part of the contract. You know, we accept it because we believe that God has given us the talent to do certain things, and the church has seen that they ask us to do it, and so we do it. And then we get to the point where we can't do it. When we don't want to do it because I'm not being paid to do this, you know, then we need to do something else. Yeah. But then anyway, so it gets to the council voted that each church should have a crusade on March the 31st. Okay. How do we get the churches now to do that thing? We have voted it. Okay. We have done our part. Is that the end of our responsibility as the board? Okay. That's it. We have two over here. Noel. Okay. Yeah. So where do we go from here? So you're from Breath of Life. You're from Berea. One of the B's. You're from Berea. Forgive me. You're from Berea. Okay. You're on this committee and you voted. Now here's another thing that you need to know. She may have opposed that suggestion to have
Yeah,
it.
good.
Okay.
Send a part to that.
She opposes that. Didn't vote for it. We took the vote,
She-
and
yeah.
20 of us in here, and 15 voted for it, and 5 didn't vote for it. Okay. And Sister Berry is one of those who didn't vote for it. B for Berry and B from Berea. And B is bad behavior. Yeah. So she didn't vote for it. Now, can she go to her church and say, you know what? They voted for that, but I didn't vote for that, so
No, that's
No.
morally wrong.
Yeah, she could do it, but then she didn't know.
No, she can't do that. She
Because
don't know what to do.
she was at the committee, but she really is a part of.
yeah. No, you have the right idea, but you're saying it wrong. Okay? Because even though she could say it, okay? She can't say it.
Yeah, I gotta say that,
Because
she was a part of the.
once the vote is taken,
Yeah.
The majority.
it's collected.
Yeah.
We all voted for that.
Yeah.
Okay? You know, so some people say, they voted for that, but I didn't vote for it, So you go into it limping half-heartedly, you have to put your all in it. And if you can't put in your all, then that would be a good time, like Ray Jennings would say. That's a good point right here, now to step back. But once it is voted, we must carry it through. So now she takes it, the members from here, it goes to, well, the AY council or the AY leader, who then will meet with the other powers. Okay? Because you now have to present that to your local church, that the youth council is requesting for a crusade to be held on March 31st. And then the process starts again. That local church will look at it, because and we can have some fighting tonight, okay? because we don't know what their agenda is. We don't know what Berea's agenda is, okay? So, who has more authority? This committee votes it to send to your local church to have the crusade. Boom, March 31st. That's the day when the conference by thing is going through. That is what we want. Okay. Can the local church say, March 31st, we were planning blah, 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 so we can't do it. Can the local church do that?
Yes.
The local church has the right to do that. Let's go a step higher. Now we can start the fight. The conference calendar says that came out, and it's out now. The calendar is out. Okay. Don't itch. Yes. The conference calendar says March 31st is Youth Crusade time. Okay. We go from March 31st on for April, the last day in April. Okay. Voted on the executive committee here. Okay. And now the youth council is saying we affirm what the calendar is saying, and we just want to send it off to the church as an action coming from here. Okay. Does the local church then have an authority to say that on March 31st we want to have let's go back to this. We want to have the pastor's 50th anniversary.
You said the wrong thing.
I know I got in your trap tonight. Do they have that authority to do that?
No.
Anyone disagrees with that?
Let me answer the question, because even though you're saying that, right, the church have a strategic plan, right, that they have in place. Now the conference calendar will come out yearly, right?
Yeah.
But the strategic plan that the church had their
5-year
28th anniversary was to happen
on that day.
Right? That give the church, in my aspect of the thing, that this wasn't something that just spring up. This was something that was, the conference would have done know, because we present our strategic plan to the conference, they would have done know that. So with them putting their thing for that time, that gave us the option to say we can step away from it because we had previously something planned and you knew about it before you come up with this stuff.
Yeah, I'm going to ask you, take this one year first.
Okay, I know at New Anderson what we have done in the past, because there have been several conference programs that were put out. And if it was not something that was a joint conference-wide thing at a central location, there have been times where we put it in, but it might not have been the same dates as the conference calendar because of something that we had already planned coming into the year before the calendar was even out. So sometimes, like I said, if it's just each church doing the youth crusade at its own location, we have actually altered our time to meet what was already in process at that time. So if you're saying something, it would be wrong with that in terms of us not doing it the same time as the rest of the churches. Something is wrong with that?
Okay, let me answer it.
The calendar is suggested.
But let's fix it. Let's fix it. Okay. Conference calendar, March 31st, Youth Crusade. Local church, March 31st, we have a function plan already. It would be disrespectful for a local church to say, we had this plan before them, so we're going on. Hold on. Without saying anything to the conference. The pastor ought to be wise enough, without giving his church any heat, because you know some people would want to, they know they shouldn't do this, we have this, so we're going to do this anyway. Pastors don't say that to your board. Okay? I mean, you're fired for that. Yeah, I don't fire them for that. That's why I never was a president. but here's what the wise pastor would do. The wise pastor would go and meet with the president. Mr. President, I have the information here for the Youth Crusade to begin on March 31st. We have, because it might not be unfortunate, or it might be unfortunate, I don't know, but we have, my church, we have a program on that date. It's going to run just for that day. I would like to have permission to start our program a day later or a week later. Yeah, the president, a vice president said, we really wanted all of them to start at the same time. We want them to have that jump start together. But I understand, and yeah, you can start a day late. You can start a week late. Okay? And we have a win-win situation, because starting a day late or starting a week late may not necessarily destroy the program like that. Okay? So the church members are happy that their program is going on as scheduled, and the conference is happy to know that, okay, at least they're on board. They will start 1 week later. And who knows, that church that started a week later would put their all into it to know that, boy, the conference is willing to work with us. So we're going to work with them. And we're going to show them big churches on the hill and in the valley and in the heart of the city that we could beat them.
What did them say again?
You know, Ephesus, we could beat them. So yeah, we do that. So we work there. Now we know we look at the function of the committee. Who is responsible for calling the committee? Who is responsible for preparing the agenda? Because we talk about committees now, committees and boards, you know. Well, let's deal first with the with like the AY Council.
Okay.
Who calls the AY Council together? The AY leader. Okay. Who chairs the AY Council? Who prepares the agenda for the AY Council?
Secretary, AY leader along with the secretary.
Well, let's see. Are we all together so far? Who chairs the council? The AY leader?
Yeah.
We all agree with that, eh? Okay. Who calls the meeting?
AY leader.
Okay. And who prepares the agenda?
The AY leader along with the
Well, let's look at real situations. Let's look at real situations. We have AY leaders. AY leaders in your AY leaders. Let me see. Hands on the AY leaders. Okay. These are the AY leaders. When you call your council meeting, who prepares the agenda? No, preparing the agenda is something different, because I can have the items for the agenda and I can say to my secretary, this is what I want you to do. When I say prepare, I don't mean who types it up. Who puts the items on the agenda? Who comes up with the items?
I be the council from the AY.
Okay, let's hold on, brethren. We talk about etiquette now in it, so let's have some here. I need you to raise your hand so that I can recognize you, so we wouldn't have junk to do. Okay. Who prepares the items for the agenda? Who comes up with the items for the agenda? Okay, let's take a vote. Those who say the AY leader is responsible for the items on the agenda. Okay. And who says the secretary puts the items on the agenda? And who says the council? Okay. All right. Well, let's look at it how it should be done, because we have different views on how it is done. What happens if I'm a member of the council and I have an item that I want to be discussed? How would my item get on the agenda?
I take my
Yes.
I take my item to the AY leader, and I present it to them, and I ask, I would want us to have this, so make this a part of your agenda. She or he chooses if that could be added to the agenda at that time, or give me an idea of when.
When you say at that time, you mean you're in the meeting now and you give it to them?
No,
then?
you can't give it to them.
Okay.
Beforehand, because sometimes her agenda might be, or his agenda might be already compact for that meeting. You see what I'm saying? So when I present it to her, I said, I need this to be added to the agenda and express my urgency or when it could be done. But I have to take it to her.
Okay, sister.
So I agree. Everyone,
you agree.
no, I agree in the sense that everyone would know, listen, we have a meeting coming up the third Sunday in every month. So this comes up, I present that, listen, I'd like to have this discussed at our next meeting. And then outside of that AOB right to the bottom, any other business is an opportunity. If you have missed the chance to, I feel that if you know about it beforehand, you should, out of courtesy, present and say, listen, I would like to have this discussed so it's on the agenda. But should you miss that opportunity, there is something, any other business. I just feel that the challenge with any other business is that you may not get the attention a particular matter may deserve. after you have exhausted all your time dealing with everything else.
Not only that. When I serve as chair, I am very cautious with AOB because I am not going to entertain at that time any controversial matter. You know, I have to be able to do due diligence to it. You know, I have to check it out because AOB can embarrass the chairman. You know, because you have some folks, you know, who will come together and they're going to put their things together. We're going to fix his business when we get on committee.
The good church people?
We-
The church people?
Huh?
Good church people?
Yes, all it is.
What? Not the church people.
Yes.
Yeah, the church people. Yeah, people, people, they'll do that, you know. You know, not all the church people like you know.
Okay, I accept that.
Okay, yeah. So, yeah, what is done? The chair usually comes up with the items for the agenda. Okay, and the members know, as you stated out, the third Sunday in the month is committee meeting, and so if you have something that you want to be discussed, you see the either the secretary or the chair and say, listen, I would like this item to be included on the agenda for discussion or for action, because there are some things we just discussed and there are some things that we take action on. So you decide whether you want action or discussion, and you give it to that person, and it will end up on the agenda, or it could end up on the agenda, because there's some stuff that the chair may find that this is not an item for discussion. People come with some funny things just to get on, to waste time. So say no, it's not a proper thing for the agenda, and not because you're a member of the committee means that you can put anything on the agenda. It must be something that is related to the job and the function of that particular committee. Okay. Etiquette and how do we conduct ourselves in a board meeting? And when we say board, we using board and committee interchangeably, eh? Yeah. So whichever. Members are expected to prepare for the committee. You are expected to prepare for the committee. And let me tell you something. I'm a member of Toastmasters, and Toastmasters teach you a lot of stuff. We used to have meeting on Thursday night. On Thursday night. And Thursday during the daytime, I would take about an hour mentally for Toastmasters. Toastmasters, they're different creatures, or they're different from normal people. They talk because that is what we do. We talk. And we like parliamentary procedures, and we try to show it off with each other. But I would sit down and I would go through the room and I would visualize each person who will be in that meeting. And you tend to know their personality. And I look at the agenda, and I know that under the Treasurer's report, I know Sister Moss is going to ask a question on Treasury. I know that, because that's her. She always asks questions on that. And if you are not careful, you don't get the answer before time. When you get there and she asks that question, you're going to be, and they're cool with it, They're not going to come fussy, Mr. Chairman or Mr. President, blah, blah, blah. No, just calm. So, Mr. President, I noticed that we have $2,000 in receivables. I don't remember. Can you remind me what this is all about? You know, Karen, you know, but that's a powerful thing because you know. So you know, you have to prepare. You have to prepare for committee. If you are expected to make a presentation, you must do your homework. You know, get information so that when you present, you can present to your fellow committee members up-to-date, relevant information. If someone asks you a question, oops, I didn't think about that. No, you need to do your job. If 10 questions are asked, if you say, I don't know to 8 of them, big problem, you know. So you ought to be able to answer, if not all of them, you ought to be able to answer the majority of them, and the majority should be able to make up for that one which you couldn't answer. So that when you walk out there, you can walk out there feeling good to know that, yeah, I hit that one, I got through that one. Okay, so we must prepare. We must also be punctual. You know, the meeting starts at 7 o'clock. Okay, so we want to be there maybe at least 6:45. And for good reason, though, because with me, I'm going to some places. There are some places I don't like to sit. I don't know, y'all should, they should know this expression. I'm not going to be the sweetheart. You know, the sweetheart sits in the middle. I like sitting on the end. So that if I have to go, you know, you don't have to cross over. So you notice on an aircraft, don't give me no middle seat, and don't give me no window seat. Now the aisle seat have its disadvantages now because these women come with these big bag on the shoulder and then they come and they bump in your head, you know. But I like, you know. So where they have open seating, you go on first. Where you can say what seat you want, you choose what you want. So you come early for a number of different reasons. One, because you don't want to be late. That's probably number one. And number two, you can probably choose the seats where you want to sit. Okay? So we're on time. Now let me tell you too, it is also unfair for the meeting starting time is 7 o'clock and we start 6:45. It's unfair to the members. If you want your members to be early, well, don't make them late by starting the meeting early. Don't be like Western Air.
No.
Y'all know Western Air? Oh.
Yes.
Yes.
Western Air, they didn't have no time for leaving or going. They leave and come when they're ready. Okay, but we must not be like that. We must make sure that we give them a fair chance. Okay? And then we must be polite. We must be polite. You can't say to the chairman, you must be crazy. We must be respectful to all. This is not the House of Assembly. You know, that's how they carry on in there. But and especially in the church setting, we must be polite with each other. We must use parliamentary language. And in the church, our language is different from the language out there. So we call it, you know, brother and sister and elder and pastor, you know, those are our parliamentary language. You know, you can't say, well, Tingham. That's not proper. It's not dignified. Okay. We have come to the age where electronic gadgets, cell phone and iPads and notebooks and all those things, they're all over the place. and we're in a meeting, and the phone rings, and some people have the nerve. Hello. You don't answer your phone in no meeting, because I'm one of those who believe that our meeting is confidential, and I don't know if you had somebody set up to call you when the treasurer's report is going on, so that you can pretend talking to them, but they're hearing what's happening in here. What happens in here stays in here, and that's another aspect of it. Committee meetings are confidential, okay? So we don't bring cell phones, or if we have the cell phones, we turn them off. Reading emails and texting during the meeting, that's inappropriate. It's disrespectful. We don't do those things in our meeting. We had okay, I've been working for the church for 42 years now, okay? So long time ago we had a president who was no longer the president, and he was so upset that he used to come in the committee meeting with his newspaper, and he sat in the back of the room, and he would, when you want to read the newspaper and you shouldn't read it, you fold it here and you hold it down here. Well, he used to open it up like this, almost, you say something about to me about it, rude, out of order, should never happen. So we don't bring the newspaper in the committee room to find out what is happening. Believe it or not, don't bring in Sabbath School Quarterly either in the committee room to be studying your lesson there. No. And unless now the chairman called for a break, to have a sidebar, and if you have it and you want, this have it on this here. If you want to put it there and read it, yeah. But it must not be done during the meeting. There's a place and a time for everything. And I would say, and a time. And everything in its place. Yeah, you have to be over 50 to understand that. Over 58. Yes.
Say for instance, these meetings sometimes go long, and sometimes they get tired.
Mm-hmm.
For me, if I go on my phone and I start to do something, I kind of wake me up.
Mm-hmm.
So what are your thoughts on those long extended?
Yeah. Okay, here's it. Committees must decide. In fact, that should be one of the first order of business. We come to a committee. Okay, we start at 7 o'clock. What time are we going to leave? No later than, when are we going to adjourn? No later than 8 o'clock. Okay, so that should be established. And so if we have established that the meeting is going to be for 1 hour, and we are discussing something and we have reached that 8 o'clock point, the chairman must say, I'm using parliamentary language for the church. Brethren, we have reached the 1 hour point. Can I have permission for us to go on 15 minutes more in order for us to finish this point? The members must decide whether we will go on, but that is not the prerogative of the chair to say that, okay, we're going for 15 minutes more. Who want you going to be here? No, you don't say it aloud, that's what you say in your mind. Okay, but we have, the members must decide whether they want to go on, because the majority of the members may have an appointment elsewhere. So you said to the other people, my meeting is going to be finished at 8 o'clock. It's going to take me 15 minutes to get there, so we can start at 8:20. And then for you to just carry on, it makes you now late for that next meeting. And it's not, we said already that you must strive to be early for your meetings. So if you find that the meeting is going on too late. And we're going to come to parliamentary procedure to show how you can come out of the meeting, you know. Yeah. But what to do if that is the case? You come out of the meeting and you walk around, you know, take a bathroom break. What happens now in a lot of our committee meetings, Adventist committee meetings, and especially the executive committees and those type, the health ministry's director, who is a member of the committee, would be called on like after an hour, hour and a half to say, give us some exercises. So she or he would say, okay, let's do some walking on the spot, let's do some stretching and, you know, that type thing there to wake you up. That's the good thing. Those are the things now that are happening in committees. Those are one of the, what would they call them now, best practices, you know, to keep members, because people go to sleep. Yeah, so we do things like that. You know what has come, when I was a youngster, drinking water in church. Yeah. You can drink water in church. Well, you're not no bottled water anyway. You know, you go outside to drink. But it's amazing now. Everybody walk with their bottle. Everybody walk with their bottle, and you're in church, and you drink water. You just drink water on the pulpit. Yeah. But normally with me on the pulpit, I drink just before I go up, and when I come down. Yeah. But or if you're preaching, sometimes you get a little dry and but drinking Gatorade and drinking juice and all that in the sanctuary. Huh? Oh yeah. That's not right, eh? So drinking water is okay.
No.
Huh?
Yeah.
Drinking water in the church, the pastor preaching, so and you. No, members.
We all want to drink water in church.
So the pastor only person who drink water?
So,
There's no choice.
well, anyway, that part that's not a part of this. We
But
talk
most
about committees,
pastors don't
okay?
drink
We're
water.
not dealing with that one.
They're drinking afterwards.
Drinking water in committee is okay?
Yes.
Committee okay? No, drinking water in committee now is acceptable. You know, 40 years ago when I first started, you know, we go to the water fountain to drink water. You know, in fact, we not the water. Yeah. So yeah, doing that. Now, what about some juice or Gatorade or some soft drink?
Medical emergencies.
Medical emergencies.
Okay, so seriously though,
Uh-huh.
seriously.
Yes.
So most of us cute now. Okay,
Yeah.
we're not walking in church with this bottle.
Mm-hmm.
It don't look good.
Right.
Walking with that one.
No, it don't. It don't match. Okay, it's not cute. Okay. So we have really nice bottles now. Okay, refined bottles with cases, with handles to go along with the nice little, I don't know, Bible or phone. You know, our phones on our Bibles, right? So irrespective of what is in that bottle, okay, and I'm sitting in church.
The Holy Ghost pretty.
No, but what is more disruptive? Me taking a sip or me getting up to move across the half a row of people to walk down the aisle. Excuse me, ouch, sorry, hush. Sorry, excuse me,
That's why they sit
to
on the
leave.
end.
Yeah. So what seriously, I think, look, sometimes I feel, but sometimes I feel that we are so caught up on customs and what other people think that we go too far. You know, the same way, if I'm sitting there and I mean, it could be anything. I could just have a sore throat and I need a bit of water. And if it's happening frequently, am I really going to get up 5 times? No, I just don't want to.
Okay, now that part there is that one is outside of we're not talking about what's happening in church. If you want to, we can answer it, but we will talk about it in committee. Committee.
Same.
You know, it's
Yeah.
a little different. little different. Okay.
Yeah.
Sister.
I don't think it's a problem of what you drink. I think it's how you do it. You can do it discreetly. If I'm drinking with a straw and my drink is done and I start, that thing at the end of the drink, or if I drink it and I keep going,
Disruptive.
like it's disruptive. So if you have water, a soda, a soft drink, whatever it is, I feel like if you can discreetly partake of it without becoming a distraction to everybody and distracting the chair while he's trying to address everybody, then it's fine.
Okay. Sister.
And it also depends on the leader and what they have set up for that evening for the meeting. It could be that we're gonna have little drinks and eats while we discuss. It all depends.
Okay. Yeah, we have some of those meetings sometimes where we have a working, what do you call it, kind of meeting?
Lunch meeting.
Working meeting. Yeah, where you have little
Yeah.
snacks and all that. Yeah. In that case, fine, you eat on what you want to, yes. There's another hand.
Oh, yeah.
No, I fully agree with her, because
Okay.
when I floor my meetings for my AYTM, we have something inside that is a snack duty. So when we bring the food at a certain time, we distribute the food and then we finish. So for us, for me, it's not disrespectful to put water to more while we do it. So that's just how we do it in Providence.
I wouldn't
Okay.
expect you to bring dinner.
Mr. Chair, just going back 2 steps on using electronic devices during meetings, and then piggybacking on your comment just now about working meetings. There seems to be a growing trend, and I want your opinion on this, and maybe opinions from the group, where during working meetings or just meetings in general, presentations that might be put forth during a committee meeting or board meeting are actually electronic. And those presentations, the agenda notes, comments are all presented to everyone electronically, as opposed to using paper. It tends to create an environment where everyone can share all the information that they want to put forward to the discussion instantaneously. It all goes to one particular queue. And so I'm wondering if nowadays, with the emergence of this kind of technology, if there's room to use electronic devices as a part of a meeting to enhance the meeting, especially when we have young people whose attention spans are this short and they can drop sleep.
You know what is interesting, and I'm answering your question. The convention we had last week, who got an agenda, a program? Paper. Did they have any at all? So here is what happened. Yeah, my program was on this, okay? And I was sitting in the front seat. In the front seat, where the camera, and I got several text messages.
While you on your phone?
Yeah. My wife was in there, got a message, you need to stop looking at your phone, you're on TV.
That's true.
I got another one from a sister, my brother, you on TV. So I want to know, okay, so
It's not just the phone.
how I can see the agenda, because even though we look at the agenda already now, and we know these are the items on the agenda, every one of us during the period we're going to go back to the agenda. Yeah, So I got very uncomfortable now, because how am I going to look at, like you say, I have to be cute now to look at the program, So we are going through a paperless, even with money, And other programs, you know, why should I spend $1,500 on some programs when I can send it out here? So, we can't, you know, this is the age to which we have come, and we have to just enjoy it. There's some advantages and there's some disadvantages, you know, but these things, they're going away. We ain't have them no more. So, better get used to it. Better get used to it. There was a hand up. Okay. Now, I mentioned about texting and reading the newspaper and all that, but that goes to whatever that is not related to the meeting. Okay. So somebody send you something, you get a magazine somewhere, whatever it is. Once it is not related to the meeting, it should not be used in the meeting. And then eating candy and chewing gum and things like that. Now, there's some of us who could be cute and we know how to chew gum without people know how, you know. But if you them wild set who have to chew with your mouth open, man, you know, you can't go in a meeting and be chewing gum like they're chewing it with an attitude. You know. And the thing about it, you forget sometimes that you're in the meeting and you hear the click. You don't go in people's meeting and clicking gum. Who do you think you is on Dowswell Street? You must be. Too late.
Oh gosh.
Hey, y'all keep me on the stream, okay? Yeah. How they say in Parliament, we would like to have that expunged from the record. Sidebars. You know, to be here trying to conduct a meeting and Johnny them in the back there because they sitting on the next side there. They have their own discussion. I have my AY program fixed already, you know. So, no. What that mean? That's you? Okay, yeah. Okay, so no sidebars. You know, give your undivided attention to the person who is speaking. Let me ask you, do I tie parliamentary procedure in this, in etiquette, or that's a different thing? I tied it? Oh, okay, good, yeah. Okay, the other thing is that we need to know parliamentary procedure. A lot of us don't know it. We have Robert's Rules of Order. Anybody know Robert's Rules of Order? Have you ever heard about Robert's Rules of Order? No. What? Have you ever seen the General Conference Rules of Order? Yeah, those who come to conference sessions, you will see them. And then they have May's Rules of Order. The British people usually use that. And so our parliament subscribed to Robert's Rules, Robert's Rules of Order. And for us as a body who will be in meetings and chairing meetings and all that, we need to have the basic knowledge of Robert's Rules of Order so that we can conduct the business smoothly. Now, one of the main things about Robert's Rules states that the minority must have their say. But at the end of the day, the majority will have their way. That's the way it is. The minority must be heard. You know, they have a right to be heard. But at the end of the day, the majority will have their way. How I get to that number already? Okay, good. All right. Let's look at parliamentary procedure. What is parliamentary procedure? Anyway, but it's parliamentary procedure.
Whenever you're addressing or saying anything,
This is very,
you must also address, first you must address the chair.
my apologies, please.
Whenever you have any agenda or you go under to speak on, you must address the chair first before you really speak on the issue or whatever you really want to talk about.
Okay, let me ask somebody else, your version of parliamentary procedure.
Including what he said, parliamentary procedure is a predetermined set of rules of engagement that will determine how we communicate whatever it is that we have to, depending on what the order of the day is, to the meeting through the chair.
Okay, yeah. And so he mentioned the word chair. Chairman, chair, you know. And it goes through, everything goes through the chair. So if we are in a session here and Sister Berry is responding to something that you said, she don't talk to you. You know, the chair say, hey, address your comments to the chair. You know, because he can't help you anyway. he can't help you. So if you want action to be taken, address your comments to a chair. Now, one of the major things that we should know in parliamentary procedure is how to make a motion. Because there are other things that come along that you can pick up as we go. But you must know how to make a motion. Now, there are 8 steps in making a motion. The first step, the member must seek recognition by the chair. Okay, and he does that by raising his hand. Okay. Once he does that, he is then recognized by the chair. Once he is recognized by the chair, the third step in that will be the member states the motion. And there is a proper way. I've seen so many times people say, I'd like to make a motion. You know what? I'd like to make a motion. Yes, you make the motion. I move. I move that at the end of this meeting, everybody give the presenter $10. Now, okay. The next step is to have it seconded. Okay. Now you second it not necessarily because you agree with the motion. Okay. So some people say that I give the no $10, so I'm not going to second the motion. Well, you second the motion because you know what? I want to get on that discussion. I want to tell him something. You know. So you second the motion in order to get discussion. Okay. So let me say it again. Seconding the motion does not necessarily mean that you agree with the motion. Okay? Now, Brother Dwayne makes a motion because I'm the chair. He make a motion, please. Any motion.
Mr. Chair, I so move that at the end of this meeting, we are all fed scrumptiously when we go downstairs.
Second.
You should give up something adverse. But in any event, he made that motion, and if there was not a second, no one says anything, and so the chair waits for about 5 seconds, and 5 seconds sound short, but 5 seconds long. So we wait for a few seconds, and no second. Lost for the want of a second. Okay? So y'all people want to go home quick, so y'all even in seconding, no motion. But, so it's lost because no one seconded the motion, but another motion comes up, and it is seconded, okay? So, the chair will state, it has been moved and seconded that at the end of this meeting, we are fed scrumptiously a meal to be prepared downstairs. Now, here's another thing. We try to make the motion not so complicated. We want to make the motion as simple as we can. Well, you must read that. That's it right there. You came in with those clothes on, you must brought something. Ladies and gentlemen, the chef. Okay, yeah, so it is seconded. The chair restates the motion, and once it is restated, the floor is open now for discussion. I've seen where people want to discuss, they want to vote something, they want to vote. Yeah, and before it is even presented, they're discussing it. So that by the time it is ready for discussion, all the discussion would have taken place already. That is not the proper way. Member is recognized. The chair allows him, he makes the motion. The motion is seconded. The chair restates the motion. And then the floor is open for discussion. Usually, and this is the better way to do it, the person who makes the motion should be the first one to speak so that he can present his cause. Okay? If the pastor here makes the motion and then my sister here is the first to speak, she may not know all that he has in mind, so she's now trying to convince us, but she's trying to convince us of something that she don't know anything about. So he will speak, and of course do it as convincingly as he possibly can. And then usually the second speaker will be someone who opposes that. And we go back and forth like that. Now, if he has spoken already and she has not spoken as yet, the chair should not entertain him again before she has had, or someone who hasn't spoken before has had an opportunity to speak. So we try to make it as fair as possible. Okay? Yes, my brother.
Good night, everybody. Just a question on the rules of order, and I just need clarification on it because I've seen something of late, and so I want to get an understanding. Back in the day, the chairman used to make a motion. Now I'm understanding that the chairman invites the motion, and so that becomes a distinct difference because there are items that the chairman may want to present. But then, is it that there are things now changing? Because if the chairman is the one who presents, is very instrumental in terms of putting the agenda together, and there's an item that wants to be passed, but the chairman cannot make that motion. The chairman can only invite a motion. So in other words, let's say for example, the secretary's report was, minutes was presented. The chairman now says, can I have a motion that but let's say now that the chairman wants to paint the building. The chairman cannot say, I so move that we paint the building. Can I now have a second? So how is it that is handled, or is that now something new? Is there a shift? Is there a modification to the rules of order? So
I don't know it. I don't know it that way. The chairman should never make the motion.
Okay.
And let me go to, if the secretary presents the report, whoever presents the report, that person should move the motion. Okay. Okay. So you're the secretary. You present the report. After you present the report, you say, Mr. Chairman, I so move. Right. Okay. Yes. If now, as chairman, a motion is made, and I want, as chairman, I want to get in on the debate, because the chairman is just the referee. Okay, the chairman can't be
Boxing.
no, that's the procedure. The chairman cannot be presenting his views and all that. So if as chairman I want to get into the debate, I can ask my assistant to take the seat. Okay, so Mr. Secretary, I am getting into the debate chair. Okay, so I get on the floor and I become a member. No, I'm not the chairman, so no special privilege for me. I'm a member, and I present what I have to say. Now, when I'm through with what I have to say, I can't come and take the chair. I have to wait until that has been voted. Once it is voted, then I can assume my position as chair.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So don't let no one put one on you.
Very
Yes, sir.
vital.
I think we could talk about this particular Robert's Rule all night, because I had a whole seminar just on the Robert's Rule. One person don't know that the chairman cannot vote.
We need a tie, yeah.
Chairman don't know.
Unless he,
Chairman, yeah.
unless he gives his, and the chairman can vote if he gives his right as the chair up in the situation. So,
Okay, well, that one is a little debatable because in the case of a tie.
yeah, and like,
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
that's an example.
All right. Okay. Yeah. Someone else was saying something. Okay, so we've reached the point now where we have debated, and we want to end the debate. In some quarters, the someone will from the floor will say previous question. Okay, and I think we call that in the church, we call it question. And say question is called. Question is called, and normally you vote on that. So if he says, Mr. Chairman, I move the previous question, I say, okay, the previous question has been called. Is there a second? Yes, yes. All those in favor, because previous question is to cut debate. All those in favor that we cut this debate will say aye. Those opposed by nay, boom, boom, thank you, is carried. And then we go and vote on the motion. Now here's what Adventists do, used to do. We don't do it no more. All those in favor say aye, those opposed nay, it's carried. In one
One breath.
They still do that.
One breath.
no man, no, we don't do that no more.
Just smaller than those are the stuff we know.
All those in favor say aye, those opposed nay, it is carried. Now we could oppose that, right?
Yeah.
But don't. Okay. You don't want no trouble in church, man. If it pass, yeah. The chair then states that the ayes have it. Now, in an organization that I am familiar with, sometimes we do some unfair things, because we may say, all those in favor, please raise your hand. Okay, simple enough. Those opposed, stand. Now, you don't have much people who want stand, So the voting process must be fair. If you're going to ask those who are in favor to raise their hand, everybody could just raise your hand. And those opposed to stand. It takes effort to stand, So if you can ask one set to stand, ask all to stand. And okay, yes. In that same organization, sometimes they say, all those in favor remain seated. Those opposed, go to the back of the room. Now, brother Sterling was saying something about if the chair wants something to be passed and all that. You have some little illegal legal stuff. Okay. So if I know I have this matter that I want to, I need this to be passed. Is it right? Is it right for the chair to solicit the support of members? Yes or no? If it's wrong, I am the chair, and I want this room to be painted green.
Yes, sir.
But I know some people who want this thing to be blue. So I go to members and say, listen man, I need the room to be painted green. I need your support on this vote. Is that ethical?
No.
I almost ask if anybody ever did that to you. But I'm not asking that question.
It's unethical, but it's not illegal.
Unethical, but it's not illegal. Okay, my time is running out, so at this point I'm going to take questions. Anybody who have any questions that you need answered at this time, now is the time. And yes.
I'm just saying, just a point coming out of the same Robert's Rules of Order, which I think is beneficial, especially in light of the fact that we have a lot of young people who are now getting more involved in leadership, in church leadership, and that's very commendable. But just something that I saw just now, which says when we're debating a motion, you should listen to the other side.
You do it?
Listen to the other side.
Oh, yes.
Never focus on the issue, not personality. In other words, well, because I presented it, then I want you from you, so I'm not even going to listen to your period. And it says avoid questioning the motive. What is his intent behind that?
Questioning the motive.
Yeah. And of course, be polite. So I think that is very, very, very fitting on this discussion itself.
You're right. And brethren, let me just say, because sometimes, and let me speak from the pastor's point of view, sometimes members can be so rough and wrong with the pastor, like you say. They want to question the motive. It may not be something that they're in favor with, and so they start questioning the motive. I think we ought to have confidence in our leaders. We ought to have confidence in our leaders. And I move away from the pastors now. I come to our leaders, even those of you who are sitting here also, because you're going to chair meetings. And the truth is the fact that many of you have been around for a long time. You have sat on youth council meetings. You have traveled far and wide. You have seen how they do it here. You've seen how they do it there. And so you have experiences that the man who's just coming on tomorrow, that he hasn't had it yet. And just because it may not be written in this book, the only book he knows, he has not seen the book of experiences yet. But you have it. You read it. You wrote a chapter in it. And he comes to question why. Let's have confidence, faith in our leaders to know that this ain't theirs. They're not being paid to do this. This is something that they're doing because of their love for the church, the love for you. Because many of us, Sundays when we have Pathfinders, or Sabbath afternoon or Friday, whenever we have AY, we can be doing other things. But we have committed ourselves to the church the young people of this church. So, let us lead by example. We don't want them to question our motives, our pure motives. So, when the pastors say some things, let's work with them. And even if you have some doubts, some questions, be on the side. The Bible tells us how to deal with these things, So let's put them on the side. Let's not try to embarrass people. That's not good. That's not pathfinding. That's not AY-ish. Let's do it the right way. Ladies and gentlemen, no further questions. I thank you.